And we are live. A very good evening. My name is Karabo Dynamite Nyalungu, and this is the Purpose and Dominance Show. You know, after tonight, if you told me dreams don't come true, you'd be lying. I'm joined by the 1/3 of what we know as Masandawana fan vlog, and probably the
Yes.
youngest, right? You are the youngest of the three, okay?
People assume.
What? Oh no. Okay, who's the youngest?
No, I'm joking. I'm definitely the youngest. I'm definitely the
Yes,
youngest.
normally it's a good evening. Thank you so much for your time. How are you feeling today? And when did you start doing supporters reviews? Or am I late?
What do you, what do you mean supporters review? Which one is
Supporters
that one?
ratings rather on your reviews.
Oh no. So hi Karao. It's an honor to join you in your platform. When you reached out to me, I think was it yesterday or the day before,
2 days
and
ago.
asked to do this. Yes. I said there's no I'll refuse this one because we've been oh my god, sorry about the background noise. My niece won't just sleep, but it's fine. So yeah, you've said to me that, like, we've spoken for a long time before. Like about your aspirations, and we've been talking and sharing kind words over the years. So yeah, I was definitely gonna say yes to this one, and so I started. So the supporters review thing, I think Ritomile back in when we started the whole thing in 2018. It's just that during the pandemic, it had to take a break because we weren't at the stadium, so we couldn't, rate anything. So as soon as we were back at the stadium at the beginning of last season, we had to bring it back.
Mm. And when I look at your content, the chemistry there is insane, and not in a sense of it being performative, but it being so natural. And I'm interested to know what came first. Is it the brotherhood as Majida? Obviously, the biological brotherhood came first, but is there an Esmajita thing, the three of you, and that got introduced to Sundowns, or did Sundowns introduce you guys to be brothers?
Um, it's a very interesting one. People don't believe it when I say it. Um, so we started. So obviously, Toto and I are brothers. So I've known Toto for 28 years, for as long as I've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
And with Kent, it was a very interesting one. I think most Sundowns fans started being a community on Twitter after the 2016 Champions League win. And we discovered a Twitter community. And that's when Kent and I and Toto started, well, Toto and I started following Kent and vice versa. And it was an online thing until I remember, I think the first game we ever sat together at the stadium was the 6-0 of Pirates at Loftus, the one that had the pitch invasion. That was the first time we had the pitch thing. We sat together at the stadium, the whatever pitch invasion, that 6-0 Pirate. And from then, from that game until we started the vlog, which was, I think that game was on the 11th of February 2017, and we started the vlog at the beginning of the next season, which was like in October 2017. So from that game until we started attending games together. If it was an away game, would use one person's car instead of and but that period between February and October was so important because that's when we discovered that we had the same interest, we were similar, and as you speak about the chemistry, like I think what's more important in this whole thing is that we have the same beliefs and we are very similar, all three of us, and that's how this whole thing started.
I hopped on your content during COVID, but I found content from 25 years ago. And I was impressed and would like to know who had the foresight to put everything on YouTube, because back then COVID was not a thing. There was live before COVID, but data was a thing as well. There were other hindrances that could have threatened the existence of this. So who had the foresight to say, guys, let's put this on YouTube at
The
that time?
foresight, the foresight, I think it was all three of us. I think all three of us used to watch a lot of European content, Arsenal Fan TV being the case in point. I think Arsenal Fan TV is the biggest like inspiration for all fan channels in the world. So Arsenal Fan TV, T for football, and we kept saying we have to do all three. I mean, we have to do something like this. All three of us saying, guys, it would be very interesting if we do something like Sundowns is in such a, and this is 2017. Like we're saying, we're at the back of a Champions League win. Sundowns is in such a great moment. Like, why don't we do the same thing for Sundowns? You know,
Mm.
and we so what happened is that there was an away game in Rustenburg. This was our first ever video, uh, and because to me, I woke up that morning and I was like, "We've been talking about this. We've been talking about this. Today is time to act." And I just took them by surprise. I just took out a cell phone and we started filming,
Mm.
and that was the beginning of it.
And it being the beginning, I mean, it means there were other people also doing similar content. I have seen people do similar content, but now with you, there's club support, you know, and as I say, you guys paved the way before you approached the club because there's content from way back then. So Rulen Mukwena says, um, you've been flirting with greatness for far too long. What greatness wants to know is how serious are you with this flirtation? So how
Mm.
serious were you with the flirtation in the boardroom in which you pitched to Sundowns for them to get on board and this to be recognized?
I think we just took a chance. I think we just took a chance as well with Sundowns in terms of them, like in terms of the club knowing who we were and what we were doing. And so there was a gentleman, and it's crazy. It's crazy that I say was even 2 years later. There was a gentleman called Tulani Tusa, and he was he. I mean, he was the bridge between us and the club.
Mm,
And I mean, the late Tulani. So I remember it was after a certain game, and Sundowns had drawn a game, local of us. And Kent and I decided that no man, let's try to get Tulani's attention. And Raya got us all of us. You see, right behind the benches, and I think the team was training. It was a midweek game. It was late at night, and the team was training, and we kept screaming, "Tulani, Tulani, Tulani!" And he came, and and by the way, this was not the first time we tried to get a hold of him. And okay, guys, I'm here now. Let me give you your 5 minutes. We told him what we do, and we told them like, and at the time it was we had bought our first yellow mic. It's like, look, we even bought a yellow mic. Hey, you guys, listen to us, hey, listen to
mm,
us, and yeah, that's when I think that day, I think the next game, that's when he gave us, this was 2018 actually, a year, almost a year, 6 months into us doing this thing, not even a year, I'm lying, yo. It's 6 months into us doing this thing. Tulani gave us our first interview, which was the incoming footballer of the season at the time, Percy Dow. And I look back at that moment and I was like, that's massive. Like that is so massive.
mm,
And that interview, when you look at it, it's like I think it's like a 40-second interview, and it's in terms of depth, it's like very shallow. It's like, you know, asking him like Pissy, thanking the supporters and asking people to subscribe to Masandawana fan vlog. And from there, that's when, you know, slowly we started building relationships with people at the club. Like not like relationships in terms of friendship, but like in terms of like they know who we are, what we do, and you know, if we should ask for anything, you know, you obviously through the now media officer Brashupi will ask for a coach Rulani, a Gulam, whoever we want on the vlog. That's when we started
mm.
the whole. So yeah, it was Tulani who was the bridge between us and the club.
And what do you think sold it to him? What was your sales point? What did that conversation look like? How did it sound like for him to finally pay attention? I mean, he's called by many of us. I called him as well, but look at
Yeah,
you now. So what do you think was in the value that you brought that made him pay attention to you guys and give you your breakthrough?
I think because in 2018, in 2017-18, we pioneered the space in South Africa, and there's a friend of mine that always says, "Don't just say South Africa, say Africa." Who was doing this in 2017 in Africa? Who was
Mm,
doing? Because I think it was a foreign concept, and also doing it at the consistency that we were doing it. I think our love for Sundowns what set us apart from from everyone, and not just because I'm not saying you should have loved Sundowns in order to make it, but I'm saying you should love what you're doing and what you're covering. Our love for what we were covering, because we like it was a midweek game in Rustenburg, we would be there, you know, and yes, as supporters, vele, but the extra driving force was this content that we need to put out, you know, and I think what grabbed the attention was the love for how we spoke passionately about what we do,
mm,
and I think our consistency over the years.
mm. Now, Sundowns has a very welcoming fan base. So I'm taking it you didn't have issues with getting through the fans. Most of them were probably excited to be on YouTube and all of that. I'm
Yeah,
more interested in your first press conference where you were invited and you are there with journalists, people who went to school, have gotten accolades, and you are there as Masandawana fan vlog. How was that for you, that experience? Were you embraced by people who have studied this thing in a different way from you guys and are coming into the space differently, or was there resistance?
again, so now getting into this relationship that we had forged with the late Tulane Tuswa. um he had told us, he had been telling us that Coach Pizzo at the time was tired of being misquoted by the media. And you must remember another thing that I feel like we pioneered was putting press conferences on YouTube in South Africa. It wasn't being done all
Mm,
over the world. You could get a Pep Guardiola press conference. You could get a Jose Mourinho. I mean, we all know Jose Mourinho quotables from 2004. Like, I'm the special one. We all used to get those, but in South Africa, all you used to get was things in the newspapers. So, and Tulani comes to us and says the coach is tired of being misquoted. It's the press conference. Um, just So it's a press conference. We were playing Free State Stars at Loftus. It's Wednesday in November 2018, and Tulani says, "No, guys, come to the press conference." And I just saw Kushulan is just here, and I don't know if you remember this. Not good memories of us, but it was a time where there was an exchange of words between I remember Coach Pito, Bongani Zungu, and Tulani said to us, "Guys, please come to the press conference and record this one." And from that day, we started, and we first started being the press conferences at Loftus, and then now we've uh, sort of like managed to get away into most press conferences, the Clorgo away, and yeah, at Loftus and Sundowns home games for sure.
mm. And you've worked with now the club for quite some time, and that gives you access to certain things that an ordinary fan may not have access to, or at that point. And would you say there were certain things you had to learn getting into the space, knowing the kind of information you were privy to? And did you get that right the first time, or was it something you had to train yourself to get into?
I think the biggest jump for me was um, trying to act professional and not act like I'm a fan of this person that's standing in front of me, just for the sake of not making them feel uncomfortable, because I get it, and I think I got it after I went through it. You find you're on a away trip and somebody appreciates and loves what you do, but you know, as they approach you, they just take out their phone and, "Hey, my son, now on a fan blog," and I love and appreciate it, but it's a tad bit uncomfortable. So it's so I had to learn how to be comfortable with it, but also learn that maybe whoever is at Sundowns that I'm doing it to may not learn how to be comfortable with the situation. I think the jump from, you know, I always say to my friends, when I go to the stadium, the 90 minutes, I'm a supporter. And then post that, I'm a professional and I have to work. And and sometimes that's it, because the jump between the supporter and the professional, there's a 20-minute break and you have to do it, you know. So I think for me that was the biggest lesson, like, I mean, the biggest thing I needed to learn while going into the space. And obviously you speak about privy to information. In the early days, you wanted to show off that you know more than the usual person, but now it's like, oh, at what cost? Like, just keep your mouth shut. Like, if someone trusted you with this information because of what you do, and just keep quiet, man.
The very same coach Rulani says football is the most important things of the least important things in life. I'm
Yes.
very interested to know what are important things to you in life. Why are you not with us on spaces at lunchtime? Why is it that you're not there with us? What are some of the things that are important in your life? And I say that because when you look at your kind of content, you also realize that you could have done it in Spitori. You guys are all from Pretoria. But you are very, 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 very intentional about also being inclusive and putting in the English language. I've learned so many words from you. Thank you so much. Maloba, but Ken spoke of intricacies, and I had to go and search what are intricacies. So, what are
Yeah.
some of the important
No, that's
things in
Kenzani.
life?
Kenzani, that's I know that word is from Kenzani. I definitely know.
So, what are
No,
the important things that you guys do outside of football?
um, I'm a student, so um, another thing, the vlog has paved a different direction in life for me. I remember, so I used to study finance at the Tshwane University of Technology and UNISA. So
Mm,
actually, when I started the vlog, I was studying finance at UNISA, and another conversation. Actually, I dropped out of my second year at UNISA, and during the pandemic, as the pandemic was, you could see that we were gonna have some openings. I had a conversation with Tulani, and I remember. So I know I'm skipping, stages. I remember in 2018 when we went to the World Cup with Hyundai. There's a lady that used to work at Hyundai called Tyler, and she told me that she studied digital marketing at Vega, but she said to me, um, I, if I had to repay my parents back the money, I would. But the education is so good, but it's so expensive. And I remember I've been flirting with my mom about Vega for a while. I think since 2018, telling her about this because, like, ma, digital marketing is the space I'm working in. And she kept saying apply, apply. And I was like, ma, you don't have the money. But she kept saying apply, apply, apply. And so yeah, the conversation was Tulani, and Tulani said, if your mom says apply, apply. And
mm,
we'll see what we'll do as time goes. And yeah, I applied with Vega 2020. So I've been with Vega 2021, 2022. This is my final year of my 3-year degree. And it's been, that's what I do. That's what I'm. So Toto and Kensani are both 9 to 5ers. They have jobs. That's why we're not on lunchtime spaces sometimes. So I'm studying, but most importantly as well, I'm a son of a mother who's been working in a different country for a while. So I run her, like, I'm a personal assistant. So I'm also, like, busy with running things for her this side, whatever it needs to be done.
mm,
And I'm a brother, and I'm a friend. I have a lot of friends. People don't believe, but don't put this onale tšhomi tse kae, and I'll say I have a lot of friends. I really have a lot of friends, and I when people say count your friends, I'll count about 20 because and what's interesting is that me and my siblings, so I have two siblings, Coco, and I have a sister, and I'm the last born. And so between the ages of maybe, let's say, 15 and 21, I was closer to my sister because we shared the same friends. And then after I turned 21, 22, when we started the whole Sundowns, I started spending more times with Proto. And now I
Mm.
got to chill with his friends more. So I have friends, I share friends with my sister, I share friends with my brother, but I also have the same friends, my own friends, I mean. And I have friends on campus, I have friends go Sundowns, I have friends I've met through Twitter, and I have a lot of friends. And another most important thing is that I'm a boyfriend. So that is another thing that occupies my time.
So there
So
is an existing life outside of football, an entire life outside of
yes,
football. Which begs
yes.
then my next question. It is said that football fans are spiritual owners of the club. But when I get into Twitter, I see the very same spiritual owners demoralizing the spirit of footballers. And I'd like to know from you, do you think as Sundowns fans, because of how well the club is doing, we are biased in how we approach, how we deliver our frustrations to our players? Because I don't think critiques stop when the club is doing well. I've seen you guys critique other players now when the club is still doing well. So do you think it's a matter of choice in how one chooses to deliver their frustrations, or we are biased because ours is doing well currently?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both, and I'll take you back to a time where the club was going through a tough time, and um, Johan Neskins, Dobsonville, you know, people, pitch invasions and stuff like that. But also, like, I feel like there's a better way of communicating. Like, just I feel like we just lack unity. I feel like our parents and our grandparents were better at doing that in terms of being united in one cause. Like, if you want to protest to your football club, then let's stop watching them on DSTV. The
Mm,
ratings go lower. Let's stop going to the stadium. Let's stop buying the kids. I think hitting these clubs in the pocket is what will suffice. But also, like, the financial aspect of South African football is still like very, we don't know about it much, because there's things like grants and everything. But I should think if MultiChoice see that, for example, I'll use Kaiser Chiefs as a case in point because they're the biggest team in the country, and they've had displeasure with their team in recent times. If MultiChoice or DSTV see that the views are down with Kaiser Chiefs, I think it's they'll say to them, hey, the rating is still really low. Like, what's up? And I think that those will drive boardroom decisions for the club to make better footballing decisions. And I know, for an example, and I use this because I know you and I relate more to South African football. I know, for example, I'm a Man United supporter, and I feel like the last time I bought anything at Manchester United was Jose Mourinho's second season, and I made a conscious choice. So until they correct their footballing department, I'm not gonna finance them, but I'm not going to do that. So I feel like in terms of like that unity of hitting them in the pocket, I think that's when things will get done.
mm.
Um, um, okay, Kataba Yadi player. That's a bit different. I don't know, Karau. I don't, more. It's another one where I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I say a rock and a hard place because um Kensani always used to tell me that so Kensani grew up very close to a like Uhudilele football player, and me being close to Kensani, he tells me about the hardships of being a footballer, and I get to understand that a bit more. Mental health, expectations from home,
Mm.
um, you know, earning a certain salary at a young age and without any financial, and you have
Got
all
it.
of that, and the ups and downs. There is no one that I even have bad days on the vlog where I don't know, I have a bad review, a bad performance. There is no one who will be flawless, and I think maybe that's a human touch and how we deal with other human beings. And my approach to life is just to be kind to the next person,
Mm,
no matter what they go through. Or but I know in football that's very hard, especially if Mutu feel like just a team high, they're not gonna be kind to you in any way. But
true.
yeah, I just want you people to be more kind. The pro.
And given the success of your platform, there's no way you were not accused of eating custard. And I want to know if you think something that's something that exists, or that is something termed to demotivate people from shooting their shots. So is there such thing as custard, or is that something used to demotivate people from shooting their shots?
Look what I have to deal with every day. Look what I'm being accused of. uh, so, man, custard man, it's a term that I think people, and if I tell you how this custard thing tastes, but I don't think it's my place, and I feel like it was such a big misunderstanding. So, I think, um, the, I don't know, Karam. Can I not answer this one? Because I think there are people who genuinely benefit from supporting certain clubs or supporting certain, like we've seen, but um I, I don't even know that I grasp what the real concept of custard is. If so, for example, like if Masandawana fan vlog has worked for 7 years at doing what they're doing, and now they get a promo job, um, is that custard or is that hard work?
You tell me.
That's what I'm saying. I don't grasp that. I don't know. I don't know. Bro, I don't know what. So I think it's a thing that I don't understand fully what it is. Um, for example, if the pro has been putting in the work since the pandemic and he gets a job at where he's gotten it now, do we say it's custard? Oh, it's hard work
Mm,
and what he's done, and
mm,
we cannot say and the relationships which he's forged, and and the hard work he's done from his YouTube channel and to his to the radio, and so it's just pure hard work. So that's why
mm,
I'm saying I don't fully grasp what the concept of casted means.
And part of the 7 years that you mentioned was an unanticipated period, yeah, COVID-19. Yes, you were already on an online platform, but that means now Bible restricts you to certain places that you can meet and get your kind of content. So how severe was the impact of COVID? Was it easier because now you've got more eyeballs? Did you feel the need to go harder on content creation and be creative, or did it hit you somewhat?
Um, I think I think COVID hit us hard on the vlog because we weren't prepared for it, and I think we could have better prepared. I think, but listen, we adjusted. We adjusted. We came up with something as soon as we knew what Boloya Boa. We adjusted and we came up with something. But it was a time where maybe move on to TikTok now. It was the TikTok time. Move to TikTok, move to but it was a time that helped us also grow our Instagram.
Mm,
Um, and so he's COVID rena on the vlog. I feel like it because our it was at the time, you must remember, we had started being at press conferences, and now press conferences, I think, it generated about 50% of our views. And
mm,
so if we were to get 10 views for a single match day, five of the views would be from a press conference. And so during COVID, there was no press conferences, and people will tell you that. So with no press, with no view, like the less your views on YouTube, the less your revenue. So on the vlog, I think, yeah, and it took time after the pandemic ended for us to get back where we were pre-pandemic. You know, in terms of numbers. So it was a COVID was a bit of a tough one for us, but I think, do I think we could have done a bit better? For sure, we could have done a bit better. But it's handbags now, it's past. But I think if we're to be hit with another challenge in the future, I think we'll be better prepared for it. I think COVID taught us that you have to you adapt or get hit.
Kensani says, I dislike the notion of Custard so much because it belittles other people's hard work. True, and also the time they put into understanding the content that they put out there as well. I wanted to ask, whenever there's transfer windows and that, we often, or off season and players having to move from one club to another, we discuss contracts quite a lot. I'm interested in the contract between you and Mamelodi Sundowns. Was there also foresight in having to speak about ownership and all of that, or did you come purely as fans and that was it?
We just came so as plans. So I think with the club, all we wanted was a cosign. And you know what's funny is that I don't think there is one yet. It's just relationships with certain people within the club that allow us to do what we do. I think what we do cannot be ignored. And it's a matter of, oh, it's the vlog guys. This is what they do, and they do. We always told, we love the work that you guys do. We love the work that you guys do, and that's where it ends.
And you spoke earlier on about how, for instance, being starstruck may not necessarily be a good thing as far as you wanting to form solid relations with people because you then make them uncomfortable. So for someone who is in a position where they're about to shoot their shot, what would you say are the do's and don'ts when maintaining relationship or cultivating relationships with people of such high caliber and you're only new, you are coming in? How do you get Epito Musimani to trust you with an interview and not question who are you?
Yeah. I think composure. Do apart from other things like doing your research and just try not to make the people uncomfortable. And I think it's a general, not just with players, it's a general industry thing, whether you're dealing with the media, the club officials. Just not try, also being trustworthy, not try to make anyone feel uncomfortable. This was, as I said to you, this was a very hard transition, especially with me from with Coach Peter Musimani, because I think all three of us, because we were massive fans of the man, and you'd be in a press conference with the man, and you just couldn't stop smiling. And I remember Kensani also used to have struggles when he did interviews because he'd do like polar opposites. So, because Kensani would be the one doing the interviews like on camera, and I'll be the one shooting the interview. And after shooting the interview, would watch it back and he said, "No, boy, I don't like this one. It seems like I'm a fan. Look, I'm smiling throughout the whole interview." I'm like, "Boy, it's a good." And then the next one, no man, the top. So I think like you need to find like a balance of, but also like just try to make little steps, be trustworthy. Like also like it's always good to have a, your big break somewhere, not a big break, but have things you've worked on before to show this person, "Oh, this is what I've done before. I did 1, 2, and 3," and yeah.
And so far, what would you say was your biggest highlight?
Definitely the 2018 World Cup. I think I always tell people that the 2018 World Cup were the best days of my life, and I'm not joking. Um, and I'm 28 years now, and I've had quite experiences. I've traveled quite a bit. I've been to a couple of countries, but the 2018 FIFA World Cup was the best days of my life. No joke. The World Cup came to South Africa in 2010. I didn't attend a single match,
Mm.
and Hyundai and
Is
Hyundai and
is
Tulane.
the custard?
That that not no, it's not custard. It cannot be like we did something so. And when you look at it now, we did something so. I think we pioneered it, and I always say, we pioneered the whole content creation thing in South Africa, and we we did something so great, and Hyundai pounced on it, and like let's work together, and
Mm.
they took us to the World Cup, and that was, I remember we first day I got so Kensani and Toto and I went to a different city from Kensani and Tulani and Shompo. We were in Moscow, they were in St. Petersburg. I remember the first day we got to Moscow, and we were sleeping in the same hotel as as the who played as the Saudi team. I think it was the Saudi team. It was a Saudi team. As we arrived, they were checking out, and yeah, because the Saudi was playing Russia in the first match. I think that's what it was. I can't remember who it was. Was it Saudi? I can't remember who it was. And Morocco 3 days later came to live in our hotel, and my brother has a picture with Coach Hervé Renard from that World Cup, and it's just these memories, and the out of walking out of our first World Cup match. I think the first game we attended was it was Poland and something. No, Poland was what was it was Argentina and Iceland. And walking out of that first match, and I walk out and I see the late Alex Shekwan outside. I was like, "Oh, the Sharks, you're also here." And he's like, "Yeah." And I see Bratrapa, so the whole of Sundowns is there, Coach Mangoba, and they said, "We're waiting for Coach." And I was like, "Oh, here's Coach." They're like, "No, we're waiting for Coach Pizzo." And as soon as Coach Pizzo appeared, it was like, "Oh, my brother, you're here." And
Mm.
that's when, like, it's this whole nostalgia. First of all, I'm in a different country with all these people, and Coach Pizzo Musimani knows who I am. It was
Mm.
like it's I always say to people, like, the experiences, like meeting different African, like, I remember we were at this bar having drinks, and we were sitting with friends from Tunisia, a language barrier, mainly French speaking, Arabic French people, and we were speaking about Esperance and Mamelodi Sundowns for a long time. We had that conversation for about like 1 hour 30 minutes, just talking like um how Sundowns have the potential to do better in CAF, and win the Champions League, and I remember um, just having the best days of my life, and
Mm.
it was just, I think it was just 10 days, and it was just the best days of my life.
Mm. And I'm pulling your leg about the custard comment. Being a
No, no,
trailblazer also, being a trailblazer or a pioneer also comes with backlash, especially when you don't have a template or someone to reference. You go and figure things out as you go. Did you meet resistance and did you feel it? Because it's one thing if it exists, but for it to affect you is a different thing. Did it affect you and where was it from?
can I not answer the second part of the question? You will
Okay.
always have resistance. You will always have resistance, whether it's from individuals who feel threatened by you and what you do, or by people who are purely jealous. You
Mm.
know, you will meet resistance, and our way of dealing with resistance was just continue just to try to knock, you know, um, the doors down. And I remember I remember I was having a conversation with Fatuani from the PSL at the DSTV launch, and I said to Fatuani that I will never stop asking you when we'll get accreditation for content creators in the PSL, because even if I don't, even if Masandawana FM vlog never gets to get the accreditation for for what we do, which is media work, by the way, but
Mm,
let it be with a content creator in 10 years time who's going to be doing covering PSL football agree this. So I feel like resistance that what we faced, what we dealt with it by saying, even if we're not doing this for ourselves, it'll hurt. It'll hurt. And there's a saying, I don't know what the saying says, I think it was Kanye or someone who said this, uh, the first explorer, or the first person that explored a certain path of the world, can agree most injuries, right? And
mm,
I feel like that's what Masandawana fan vlog is. Um,
mm.
and as it might not seem like it, but diteng and dingat.
Mm. And I wanted to ask also, when you are affiliated with a club like Sundowns, I feel like success starts having a different definition because the bar is so high. Now you reach so many things that what you want or what you view as success changes. Did you have that? And does the success of the club make content creation for you easier or harder? Do you guys also feel like there's certain bars that you need to set or a certain standard that you need to uphold, given that, I mean, the club is successful?
Yeah, I think the standard thing is a real thing, and I think Kentana out of all of us is big on that. He'll always say that our the quality of our production needs to always be at a certain level. Hence, it's hard to find. For example, this Saturday there's a big cup final. Kentani
Mm,
has to work alone because entrusting other people with, it's not something that it's easy to do because Toto and I won't be around. And
mm.
so the standard, upholding standard setting, like and I cannot really accredit it to the standard of the success or their club or anything like that. I think it's just who we are as people, and what inspires us. I think we've seen, um and again, as I said at the beginning of our chat, that Arsenal Fan TV is the blueprint, but not just Arsenal Fan TV now. There are other podcasts, in America, like basketball podcasts,
Mm,
and you find Tifo podcasts. You found, Rio's Ferdinand's Five podcasts. Like, those people are the standard and they're the bar, and we're trying to get as close to them as possible in terms of like the content and the quality of the production.
Earlier on, we spoke about misconceptions, and I'm interested to know if did you have some when you got into working into the club that completely changed from when you used to look at or watch a football game as an ordinary fan versus to when now there was affiliation. Did certain things were certain wrongs righted, and did your concept? It's after 8. You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Were there certain things that changed on how you looked at them from when you were an ordinary fan versus now when you were in the game?
Um, yeah, I guess, but it's not a question that I can answer with conviction for sure and point at something, because like I think I forgot what I used to think 7 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I forgot what I used to think 7 years ago. But for sure, there were some things that changed. But it's just like with anything, it gives you better perspective. Um, but also you also learn a lot, um, about like the workings of, you know. football, you learn, and those are the things that we talk about on the reviews, and so you learn about like things like turnaround time, um like why regen needs to be done the next day. Like you learn that through press conferences, through personal conversation. Why you
Mm,
need to do regen next day. Why sometimes players who are playing need to train the same night in the match. Like it just gives you like different perspectives. You know,
mm,
you get to learn. But
mm,
I just cannot answer and pinpoint totally. This was a misconception I had in 2016, and now it's changed because like I've grown closer to the club.
mm. Still on misconceptions. When I look at you, sometimes I see tickets, and I know I'm not the only one. How have you dealt with that expectation and sometimes entitlement from people, and how has it changed how people look at you? 2016 versus now. Did you have more fans now of your own and not of the club?
No, not at all. But also like when people start saying, did you like go ticket pro, kareka, you know,
Mm,
and which is not a lie, which is not a
mm,
lie. I buy tickets to it. Okay, sometimes you get people offer me like friends like, hey, do you have tickets today? No, I have two extra, but I buy tickets to every Sundowns game. I buy like when was it when we played Stellenbosch the other day? I had to log on to Ticket Pro, Kifika Stadium, and buy myself a ticket because Nigel went to a reg,
mm.
and it was a digital one. Yeah, but yeah, Tawaya more supporters than people. I think the biggest institution, yeah.
Here's a
uh,
supporter here.
listen to that, bro. No, the biggest institution here is double action, and the pro will know what I'm speaking about when I say double action and yeah, considered pro distracted me. So the biggest institution is double action and Ellerin Sundowns, and that's what we all do this for. This whole content creation, this whole Masandawana fan vlog thing, and that should always be the main focus, and not
Mm.
nail.
And you've spoken about how you've got a life outside of football. Do people who are participants in that life understand the level of commitment that you need to put out? Do you miss out on birthdays, or I know Sundowns na le moya manyana? And what are some of the sacrifices that you've had to make them understand as a result of being a content creator?
I think this weekend is gonna be the first time I'm gonna miss a Sundowns game because of an event. Um, it's the first time in 7 years, and uh, I think my family has been understanding. My girlfriend and I started dating while I've been doing what I'm doing, so
That's great
she's
to them.
she she had to be understanding. It was a foreign. I won't lie. At the beginning of it, it was to her. It was a bit foreign. Oh, okay. You work for the club? No, I don't work for the club. Oh, you understand? Oh, so I had to explain it and why I have to attend every single match, and not just them, like my friends who I wasn't seeing as much. And I always say to people, people like accusing me of like.
You left people and attended a concert.
I forgot about that one. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that one. I forgot about that one. So 2017, yes. Thank you for reminding me,
Wait,
Jen.
why is he remembering it now? It hit hard.
Oh my God, Kenzani, please, can you please tell Kenzani to stop? So Yeah, so 2017. Let me go to this one. 2017, Sundowns playing Amazulu at Super Stadium, and Travis Scott is in the country. What would you have done, Garab?
I would have went to Sundowns. I can really see Travis Scott in my plan.
Yeah.
Serious.
So
If it wasn't Duma Silela, yeah. Now I'm also like that, Mara Travis Scott.
but okay, let me say someone you really like. A big fan of their music.
This was not about you.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. So yeah, so my friends that have missed lunches and birthdays and they had to be understanding because Kiko, I'm at a Sundowns game. Sundowns is playing VUT. Go Super. I have to be there, and I have to miss. And you have to understand, as my friend, why I cannot be at your birthday lunch because I'm working, or I'll show up later. And people always accuse me. I was about to say, people always accuse me. It's because I guys, from the age of 22 until now, my Saturdays have been taken away by this thing that I'm doing. So sometimes I need, to live it back a bit. So it's yeah, not yes, you get to miss, but now I feel like I get to. So for example, if you play on a Saturday, on a Sunday maybe you book it up for terms of like you want to have fun for yourself, or you want to go out and have fun with your loved ones.
I wanted to ask, I forgot to ask an important question during COVID. Do you think collaboration was it easier or harder to collaborate with other people? Because yes, this is your baby, and the quality of the things you talk about, guys, you remember things from 7 years back and all of that, particular games and particular moments of games. Did you find yourself having available people who don't have the right quality of content? Or did you have to knit and pick? Was there criteria of some sort, or did you find it very easy to collaborate with other people?
No. I think so. As Sundowns, I think we were blessed. I think we always to collaborate with people. And during COVID, it was even better because it was remote, and we used to do it via software, whether it's Teams, Zoom, or whatever. It was easier. So if Pro's in Durban, I'll call Pro and say, Pro, do you have 30 minutes to shoot? And quality content you'll get from Pro, quality content you'll get from Lokoko. It was so much easier to not just the two of them, but I can't remember who even collaborated with Pandemic, but it was a lot of Sundown supporters that we collaborated with Pandemic, and it was so much easier because obviously like we had just discovered this online platforms like Zoom to record an episode. I think it was so much more easier to collaborate Pandemic.
And before I let you go, you've been at this thing for 7 years. You're one of the pioneers. You've got it right most of the time. You probably know the formulas and the ways around it. What starter pack would you say is needed for someone who's upcoming? What are some of the long tries that you took that you find now as double ups that you have seen but couldn't apply in your come up days that you would advise a young content creator?
I think network German. Please repeat the question. I know it was a long one, and network wasn't the greatest.
No, I'm speaking about the length in which you've been a part of this thing, and that must have exposed you to easier ways of doing this thing. So, if you were to give a startup hack to a young content creator who's upcoming, what would it consist of?
Um. Hmm. I think I'm a bit out of my depth on that one because
Let's talk maybe minimum standard of equipment. Is it the sound that matters, or visuals, or both? What
definitely
kind
the
of
sound.
camera do I get?
So so maybe so these smartphones that we use have very good cameras. Yeah, Kensan is saying it as well. Passion, passion, passion. And I think I spoke about it as a selling point where we were selling ourselves to the late to learning to so what stood out with us was the passion that we had for doing this thing. And Kensan is always shouting at me saying, boy, you don't watch for a content creator, you don't watch enough content. And
Mm.
I'm like, boy, I know I should be watching more content. In terms of like learning, different things. You pick up different things that you get to incorporate into your own content. And I promised him that I'm gonna start watching more content. But yeah, in terms of like startup kit, I think get yourself a tripod, a gorilla pod, a microphone. um you can just for bare minimum like quality stuff, um just for your, because let's be honest, if you're on YouTube and you come across a video and the audio is bad, you won't stay longer than a minute on that video because y'all silly,
Mm.
yeah. But and I agree with Kent. You can have all the equipment in the world, but if you don't have the drive to do this, you'll fall wayside. And I 100% agree with Kent. I think what has stood out, Karabo, as I said from the beginning, was the drive to do this and the passion to do it. And we, as I said, 7 years. I get to like 7 because I think it's 6 years, 2017 to now. To, yeah, actually, so on Sunday it was the first. It was on the first on Sunday 91. I think that was 6 years.
Yes.
That's like 7 years because we're into the 7th year. The 6th year was on Sunday. Um, yeah, I think you just need to have the drive to do this thing. Doing something every single weekend for 10 months of the year is not easy. I know
Mm.
people will look at you and saying, "We are steady more the video." It's not easy.
Mm.
Karabo, I I arrive home 5 hours after kickoff every day.
Mm.
Every day I arrive five home after kickoff. So if it's a 3 o'clock game, I arrive home at 8. If it's a 6 o'clock game, I arrive home at 11. If it's a 9 o'clock game, I arrive home at 2. And there still needs to be post production of editing. Now tell me how many people will have the drive and the passion to do that for 6 years, and that will set you aside from the rest.
Mm. And when the rewards come, they still call it custard after all that time and investment.
Retiring, retiring,
Mm.
so it's the things that people don't see. I think Kensani likes calling it the intangibles. Your drive, you
Ke tsona
how bad.
di-intricacies. Ke tsona
It's already
di-intricacies tse.
intricacies. It's all, he likes talking about that, and he'll on the intangibles say, are you willing to go to a 3 o'clock game, get home at 8 after shooting on a Saturday, and still edit?
Mm.
Do you understand? So it's are you willing to attend the Champions League game on a Saturday night 9, get home at 2 a.m. and still edit so that people can get content at 6 a.m.
Mm.
You know, just that drive, that
Mm.
drive to get the product out and make sure that it's still quality. And Kentano will tell you or total how stressful it is, because sometimes I'm editing at 1 a.m. and the one video doesn't have audio. I'm calling this man who has a family at 1 a.m. Ken's boy, video and audio. It's
Mm.
such things, and yeah, you just need that. And Kensadi was clear in directing me in answering this question. I think passion and drive is so important. It's so important. And I see that pro as well, like finding your niche and fulfilling their needs, I think is so important.
One of my goals is to get Coach Rulani on this platform. When I someone who engages with him, and you even call him Mlungi, hey, you know the relationship is different when they use a name that you do
No,
not know. What have you
no,
learned from? Yes, you
yeah, yeah.
can go on.
No, you could go. You could go.
What have you learned from the human that is him? And what starter pack can you give me when I go and relate with him?
Mara, kubla le kenzani tu. Uh, I think so. I don't have much of a relationship with Coach Rulani. I just meet him through press conferences and through that's how I know him. Go to press conferencing and we'll have 2-3 minute conversations. But from the 2-3 minute conversations, like you learn about, but also like I feel like I've learned more from Coach Rulani on his interviews is conducted about his thought process, what inspires him. I remember there was a time you were speaking about the Greek mythology and Stoicism, and I was like, my God, this guy is he's different gravy. I feel like I, I always say to people, let them appreciate the Motlhang Island in Europe.
Mm,
Let them appreciate the Motlhang Island in Europe, and he's different. He's a different human being, uh, uh and he's good with words. He'll he'll give you solid, I think, advice. Like you'll hear at press conferences, like he'll use like the example we were talking about, like you've been flirting with greatness for far too long. Where you've brought out the roses, you've been bought the when are you willing to put a ring on it? Like so those things, like he'll he'll take you from that to like Coach Rulani introduced me to ChatGPT in a press conference. I use ChatGPT
mm,
in my daily life now. It's crazy,
mm,
and so I think when in these 2-3 minute conversations that I have with him off camera, I try so much to be a sponge, and I wish I could be a bigger one. Just absorb, because I feel
mm.
like there's a for as young as he is, there's a wealth of knowledge. I think another thing is that he's well read and Arubali, Arubali. He
I
watches.
was about to ask, when are we fundraising for his bed? I saw in a publication where Jomo was saying this man doesn't sleep.
Funny enough, we once walked out of a press conference. No. So we got Lord Cop and we walked out. No, you guys need to fund my bed. You guys need to buy me a bed for my office.
Mm.
And what about office? I saw her.
Man, thank you so much for your time. Um, I'm really, really grateful and am inspired by just how consistent you guys have been. But when we see you guys put in content week in and week out, we even have fallen in love with you guys. And I thought it was impossible, but hey, here we are. We like Bo, we like Bo, Kensan, without having even met them. But again, that goes to show the impact of the things that you put your time on and the kind of content that you release to people, so much so that it impacts ordinary people on things far more beyond football. And thank you so much for your time, and more importantly, for how you avail yourself for the other life that we bring you to be a participant of whenever we need advices, whenever we need clarity on particular things. All the best with the vlog and yourself and life goals and everything. Oh, and everything else and everything else associated.
Thank you, Garo. I know I mumble a lot, and I try, and I want to do this more often so that I can be confident in speaking. Yeah, I mumble a lot, and you saying what we do is inspires people. That's crazy to me because I just do it for the love of the club and what I do and just the love of content creation. And for you to say it inspires people just beyond football, that's crazy for me. I never ever in my life would have thought what a young boys from Etchardville and a, a young boy from Shishanguve, her Thomas supported Lapo whenever her Thomas supported in our own time, we would have done this. And I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking for myself when I'm saying this, but never in a million years Tomo Sapota Sundowns that I pictured myself one day doing this. Never.
I think it's different when you mumble and you mumble quality, because it's not every day when you watch a vlog and someone is like, this is the 9th time they make it to quarterfinal, and you're like, you're counting. you know so you pay attention to detail on a lot of things that we feel, no man, if I could take this aspect and put it in a different aspect of my life, I could be doing so many things very well. So it's more than just football, and I want you to know that, not just to you but to the three of you as well. And all the best with family, all the best with the other things, the more important things in life
Yeah.
beyond football. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Carol. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.